Arthur stared at the glowing monitor, his eyes burning from hours of tracking relentless red charts. The market had been cruel today, stripping away his remaining confidence with every downward tick. He slumped back in his chair, feeling the crushing weight of another day of heavy losses. His scrolling fingers paused suddenly when a strange profile caught his weary, bloodshot eyes online. The user went by the name Market Misfit, a handle that seemed ironically fitting for the platform. Arthur clicked the profile, expecting to see the usual array of boastful, fabricated trading success stories. Instead, he found a legendary, unbroken track record of spectacular failure that defied all known logic. Every single high-leverage bet placed by this mysterious trader had resulted in a total financial wipeout. It was a statistical impossibility, a sustained streak of incompetence that bordered on the truly supernatural. Arthur leaned closer to the screen, his breath hitching as he analyzed the sheer, chaotic depth. The trader consistently bet against the strongest market trends, ignoring every signal of impending growth. Intrigued by this anomaly, Arthur felt a spark of desperate curiosity ignite within his tired mind. He began to formulate a radical experiment, one that could either save him or ruin him. He would create a secondary portfolio designed specifically to mirror every single one of those trades. However, he would execute the exact inverse of every position taken by the elusive Market Misfit account. If the stranger lost money, Arthur would theoretically capture the profit from the opposite market movement. It was a counterintuitive strategy, a gamble against the very nature of consistent, predictable financial failure. With trembling hands, Arthur committed his remaining savings to this bizarre and highly risky new venture. He watched the screen with bated breath, waiting to see if the universe would finally comply. The initial trades triggered instantly, sending a wave of nervous energy through his tense, aching body. Market volatility began to churn violently, setting the stage for a high-stakes battle against the odds. Arthur watched the numbers fluctuate, his heart hammering against his ribs like a trapped, frantic bird. He was betting against the worst trader in history, hoping to turn disaster into his salvation. The digital landscape shifted before him, reflecting the tension of his desperate, last-ditch financial rebellion. Outside his window, the city lights flickered, mirroring the instability of his own precarious, fragile future. He adjusted his glasses, squinting at the data streams that now dictated his entire life's path. The cursor blinked rhythmically, a silent metronome counting down the seconds until his ultimate financial fate. Every trade was a calculated risk, a direct challenge to the patterns he had studied endlessly. He wondered if he was a genius or merely a fool chasing a ghost in machines. The silence in his apartment was absolute, broken only by the soft hum of his computer. He felt the cold sweat on his palms as the market began its unpredictable, wild dance. This was the moment of truth, the intersection of his despair and his newfound, strange hope. He waited for the first sign of movement, his eyes locked onto the flickering green numbers. The inverse strategy was now live, and there was no turning back from this dark path. He took a deep, shaky breath, bracing himself for the inevitable surge of market-driven adrenaline. The screen glowed with an intensity that seemed to mock his previous failures and his doubts. He was no longer just a trader, he was an observer of a strange, inverse reality. The charts began to align with his theory, showing the first signs of a positive shift. Arthur felt a grim smile touch his lips as the numbers finally started to climb upwards. The experiment had begun, and the world of finance would never look the same to him. He watched the profit margins expand, a surreal sight after weeks of constant, soul-crushing depletion. Each tick upward felt like a small victory against the crushing gravity of his previous debt. The Market Misfit account continued to bleed capital, oblivious to the parasite feeding on its errors. Arthur felt a strange kinship with a stranger, a bond forged in the fires of incompetence. He wondered if the other trader ever suspected that someone was watching their every disastrous move. The screen displayed a cascading series of red signals from the Misfit, confirming his theory. Arthur's own account bloomed in vibrant green, a stark contrast to the darkness of his room. He gripped the edge of his desk, his knuckles turning white from the sheer, overwhelming pressure. This was the reversal he had prayed for, the turning point in his long, miserable journey. He checked the timestamps, ensuring every inverse order had executed with perfect, cold-blooded precision. The market was a chaotic ocean, and he had finally found a way to ride its waves. He felt a surge of confidence, a dangerous feeling that he fought to keep in check. The numbers continued to climb, defying the logic that had once kept him trapped in failure. He watched the clock, realizing that hours had passed in what felt like mere fleeting minutes. His exhaustion was replaced by a sharp electric focus that burned brighter than his fatigue. He was rewriting his destiny one trade at a time, using the Misfit as his compass. The room felt smaller, the walls closing in as the magnitude of his success became clear. He leaned back, letting the reality of his newfound wealth wash over his tired, aching frame. The screen remained his only window into this new, profitable world of calculated, inverse risk. He was ready for the next trade, prepared to follow the misfit into the unknown abyss. As the initial trades trigger, Arthur watches the market volatility churn with a nervous, bated breath. The experiment yields immediate, staggering results as his inverse portfolio begins to skyrocket in total value. Every time market misfit panic sells at the absolute bottom, Arthur finds himself perfectly positioned in a long. He captures the subsequent recovery with ease, watching his digital balance climb toward impossible new heights. The strategy functions like a clockwork engine of profit, turning catastrophic blunders into steady capital gains. Arthur's screen glows with green numbers, a stark contrast to the red charts of his past. He feels a strange thrill, yet the psychological toll begins to mount with every passing hour. Arthur becomes obsessed with the digital ghost he is exploiting, questioning the nature of these losses. He stares at the monitor, wondering if Market Misfit is truly incompetent or hiding a deeper pattern. Is there a sinister design behind the consistent failure? Or is it merely raw, unadulterated chaos? Arthur digs through the trade history, searching for a hidden logic within the wreckage of accounts. The more he analyzes the data, the more the stranger's moves seem almost calculatedly, perfectly wrong. He finds himself analyzing the timing of every failed bet, seeking a rhythm in the madness. His own wealth grows, yet he feels increasingly detached from the reality of the surging market. The platform interface becomes his entire world, a window into a strange, inverted financial dimension. Just as Arthur reaches the absolute pinnacle of his success, a notification flashes across the screen. The platform announces a sudden, total liquidation of Market Misfit's account, ending the strange, profitable, symbiotic dance. Arthur stares at the finality of the message, feeling a cold void opening in his chest. He is left with a massive, life-changing windfall, yet he feels a haunting, deep-seated sense of realization. He has mastered the art of profiting from failure, but the source of his wealth vanishes. Now, he is trapped in a vacuum where the market no longer seems to make sense. The charts move with a hollow, meaningless rhythm, stripped of the guidance he had grown accustomed. He refreshes the page, hoping for a sign, but the account remains dark and forever silent. The inverse strategy is dead, leaving Arthur alone with his riches and a profound, lingering confusion. He realizes that by mirroring the failure, he had become a prisoner of someone else's shadow. The market continues its indifferent churn, indifferent to his success or the loss of his guide. Arthur leans back in his chair, the silence of the room pressing against his tired ears. He has won the game, yet he feels as though he has lost the fundamental truth. The numbers on the screen no longer represent potential, but rather the emptiness of his victory. He wonders if he was ever truly trading at all, or just playing a rigged game. The screen flickers, casting a pale, sickly light over his face as he contemplates the void. He closes the browser, but the image of the red charts remains burned into his mind. The paradox of his success weighs heavily on him, a burden of wealth without any purpose. He looks out the window at the city, feeling disconnected from the people moving below him. They are chasing dreams, while he has caught a nightmare disguised as a golden, easy fortune. The market is a beast that feeds on certainty, and he has lost his only compass. He thinks of Market Misfit, that faceless entity who held the keys to his sudden, strange prosperity. Was it a person, an algorithm, or a glitch in the very fabric of the exchange? The question haunts him, turning his triumph into a puzzle he can never hope to solve. He realizes that he will never know the truth behind the man who lost everything perfectly. Arthur stands up and walks to the window, watching the distant lights of the financial district. The city pulse feels erratic, lacking the predictable cadence he had learned to exploit so well. He feels the weight of the money in his account, a heavy reminder of his isolation. The experiment is over, but the consequences of his choices are only just beginning to unfold. He wonders if he should delete the account, or if he should wait for another ghost. The temptation to find another pattern is strong, but the fear of the void is stronger. He realizes he has become a ghost himself, a trader who only understands the inverse truth. The world of profit and loss seems like a distant, alien language he no longer speaks. He sits back down, his fingers hovering over the keyboard, but he cannot bring himself to. The screen remains dark, a black mirror reflecting his own hollow, questioning gaze back at him. He understands now that the market does not care about his clever, calculated, and cold rebellion. It only cares about the flow of capital, moving through the hands of the winners, losers. He is a winner, yet he feels like the biggest loser of all in this game. The silence in the room deepens, punctuated only by the faint hum of his computer fan. He thinks of the red charts, the sea of failure he once navigated with such despair. Now he is adrift in a sea of green, just as lost as he was before. The paradox is complete, a cycle of gain that leaves him with nothing but questions. He closes his eyes, trying to visualize the market, but all he sees is the void. The inverse profit paradox has claimed its price, and he is left to pay the bill. Arthur remains in the dark, waiting for a signal that he knows will never come again.